All right, man, peace. So I did a video a couple of weeks ago, and the topic was, should fat women get more love? So now the CBS Sunday Morning News has a segment on the world-famous plus-size model, Ashley Graham. She's being interviewed by Gayle King of the CBS Morning News. Of course, they're going to talk about the topic, and I'm going to chime in.
We're fashion forward once again this Sunday, this time with a woman who's a role model in more ways than one.
Yeah, because she's a model with roles. That's what the fuck is going on.
Gayle King of CBS This Morning has just paid Ashley Graham a visit.
So when you strutted out here, what are you thinking when you're walking down the runway?
And look, even though I joke about Ashley Graham, she clearly is a very attractive woman. In my last video, I stated explicitly that the issue that I had with the agenda on the quote-unquote liberal side in regards to how they target women, what they do is they try to foment a lot of insecurity in the woman by making her concentrate on her body type, first by pressuring her to believe that she has to dress scantily clad. And I've stated in the past, one of the main reasons why modern day women have so many body issues is because they all want to dress like sluts and whores. So when you want to expose your body, of course, it opens up your body for more scrutiny. When you look at a woman like an Ashley Graham, she's not obese. As I've stated already, to me, fitness is more based on the dimensions of your body in a woman. It's basically her stomach to hip ratio, as you can see. This woman is just a larger, thick woman. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I have brothers come in the comments, oh, I like big women. Bro, look, there's nothing wrong with a big woman. There are very attractive women of various sizes. What I was addressing and what I will continue to address is the concerted attempt to try to normalize obesity, which has a direct link to a very, very unhealthy body, which leads to an unhealthy mind.
First of all, don't fall.
Okay, I'm not going to do it. Go ahead. Don't fall.
No, and also you have to think about your hips being forward, your shoulders being back, and then like not giving too much expression on your face.
In case you're wondering how they do that supermodel walk, let the pros show you how it's done. Would you tell me why models never smile while they always look like they're pissed off about something?
There's really something about having to be like, we're there to just show the collection, right? We're not there to be like, this is my collection.
Exactly. And that's the same sentiment that I touched on in one of the recent Colin Kaepernick videos that I did in regards to what his role is. Colin Kaepernick's role is to just be a model for a certain sponsor group or a particular group that chooses to use him as a pawn. So when people complain about why he doesn't speak, I already know why he doesn't speak, because he's just there to be a model. He's there to be a two-dimensional representation of an ideology. Just like every other model. When a model comes out on the catwalk, they're basically there to be a walking flesh and blood billboard. That's it. So what does Colin Kaepernick represent? He represents Marxism, which basically is just representative of Luciferianism through the promotion of chaos. When these models go on the catwalk, they represent what the new fashion is for the upcoming season. And they also represent what the industry believes the most appealing body type is.
The Ashley Graham Show. I am a judge on VH1.
She may not have her own show yet, but Ashley Graham is sure having her moment. The 30-year-old author.
Now, as we can see, she's here in the leopard print. So, is she a MK Monarch sex kitten? Who knows? Who knows?
Author, businesswoman, and oh yes, model, was named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people. There's even an Ashley Graham Barbie doll.
So how can plus size women, quote unquote plus size or heavyset women, be getting oppressed when they're voted to be one of the 100 most influential people when they have their own doll? Dolls are created to try to subconsciously program young girls in how they should look, how they should feel about themselves based off of their look, and how they should dress, right? How they should style their hair, what color their hair should be. That's why the Barbie doll for years was always a very slim, Caucasian, blue-eyed, blonde-haired representation for every young girl in America in regards to what the perfect looking female should be. So if Ashley Graham has her own doll, how could anybody claim that heavier set women are relegated or are marginalized? It's just not the case.
I worked my butt off. This is not an overnight success, Gail.
Well, we know you didn't work your butt off because you still got a big ass. So you damn sure didn't work that off.
I'm talking 17 years in the industry, and blood, sweat, tears. I've had agents
told you weren't going to make it.
I've had agents tell me, you're not going to be on the cover of anything. You're a catalog girl. I've had clients tell me, you're too fat and we can't book you anymore because you don't fit into the jeans.
Well, that's their preference. If you've had certain clients or certain sponsors, certain organizations, clothing lines who decided that they want to market their apparel to a certain type of woman, to a certain type of body type, that's their prerogative. Every clothing line does not want to market their clothes to heavier set women or bigger women. I mean, let's be for real. Ashley Graham kind of represents the body type of what you'd call a more indigenous woman or a woman of color. I'm sure that at the time that she was trying to get knee deep into the modeling industry, most of the clothing companies that were looking for models were looking for, more quote unquote classical runway models, meaning thinner Caucasian models or women with that body type.
Instead of changing to fit in, it was the industry that changed to fit her. For starters, their size. She's a 14, but don't you dare call her plus size. I know you hear that word and it raises, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard to you.
Yeah.
I hate the term plus size because
I think the word plus size is so divisive to women. I think that when you use the word plus size, you're putting all these women in a category. You don't eat well, you don't work out, you could care less about your body, you're insecure, you have no confidence, and that is none of this.
Well, allegedly that's none of that. Allegedly. That's what you're saying on camera. But as any man with experience knows, the woman is like an onion. She has layers, and you have to peel back those layers to get to the truth. We all know that the woman has a face that she puts forth in front of a camera at work, in the initial part of relationships. She has various faces, right? Like Janus, like the Roman god Janus, has a face going both ways. Takes a very long time to understand what truly motivates a woman and what her mind is really about. But here's what we do know. Those of us who pay attention, we do know that most women, particularly the liberal women, are tremendously insecure. Many women today are not healthy. Most of them are not in shape for the most part because they spend too much time at sedentary job positions where they're sitting all day, eating unhealthy foods on a phone, gossiping and talking all day at work. Right? Or they're going to a school where they're sitting at a desk all day, stressing themselves, trying to finish some term paper or report. And we all know that the woman is extremely comparative thinking by nature. What do I mean by that? She spends most of her time trying to evaluate how she looks based off of how the next woman looks. So to say that the woman is not insecure, I think that that's a lie. That's a falsehood. We all know that most women are insecure, and it has nothing to do with the values that are instilled by men. It's normally because of the female nature, which is to be petty and silly and frivolous, whimsical, and really to be mostly a two-dimensional entity. Why do I say that? Because if they truly were as confident as they claimed that they were, then they would see nothing wrong in playing their position. True confidence is knowing what your role is and doing it, not trying to usurp everybody else's position all the time just for the sake of doing so. You can only be divisive on something that is unified. You can't be divisive towards women because women are already divided. Most women don't like each other. They only come together with each other to try to tear down any form of male rulership or male hegemony per se. Once women have torn apart any form of male rulership, then they're going to turn on each other because, as I've stated, most women do not like each other. That's just a fact. And they don't truly start to mature until about the age of 45.
yes. Born in Nebraska, Graham says she was often bullied for being big.
Now, as you can see, that's Ashley Graham in the middle. Even though in this society we use the term big interchangeably, with fat, big is just big. Like, as you can see, she's a big girl. She's probably like, 5'9", maybe 5'10". But once again, when you look at her waistline is slim. She's not a skinny woman, and wherever her ancestry goes back to, most likely a lot of Aboriginal or Native American, quote unquote, ancestry. You know, those are thicker people. You can look at her siblings and you can see that her siblings even look like what would be classified in the 1800s as quote unquote octoroons. All right. So, of course, she's going to have a little thickness to her. She's a thick woman. I wouldn't call her fat. And, you know, she clearly works out. She has a flat stomach. She's just not slim per se.
People called me cottage cheese thighs all through school. People would do the sound of a truck backing up, beep, beep, as I was like sitting down.
Well, see, that's because you grew up in the wrong neighborhood. You probably grew up around a bunch of white people. If you grew up around a bunch of niggas, they wouldn't have been beeping when you backing up. When you backed up, they would have put on juvenile, back that ass up.
It was her mother who helped Graham learn to love her body and herself.
I remember going home one time crying to my mom, and I was sitting cross-legged, and I said, see this fat that's bulging out of my hip? And she said, that's just your hip. And honestly, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't fit into this family. And she really made me feel better about being a curvy, bigger girl in a world that was constantly judging me.
How Graham was discovered sounds like a Hollywood movie. You and your dad are walking through the mall. Mm-hmm. A guy stops you, a man stops you and says what?
He says, hey, you're really pretty. Would you want to be a model? And I was taken aback. I look at my father and he goes, well, what do you mean?
Yeah, he said, what do you mean? As in, how much money can we get off this?
As it turns out, the man worked for a modeling agency. A year later, Graham was appearing in ads and catalogs. She got steady work during high school, and by 18 had moved to New York.
And once again, she's a quote unquote bigger girl. She got offered modeling. She didn't initially pursue it. It wasn't like she was running around looking to be a model. They came at her. So once again, a lot of this stuff about females are getting oppressed or are getting denigrated because of their body type, that stuff is just a narrative.
A full-time model living fast and out of control.
I started going into a spiral downfall.
Your parents said no sex, drugs, or alcohol.
Right.
And what did you do?
I went and had sex, drugs, and I had lots of alcohol.
No shit. Because you're an agent of chaos. That's obvious. Look at Gail's face. Gail's like, girl, I remember. Back when I was your age, back in the 40s. Whew, right around World War II, I was having a lot of sex, drugs, and alcohol too. Tell me about it. Those were the days. Look at Gail's face. Gail look like she's reminiscing on some shit. But yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Like I always tell brothers, man, from the age of 15 to 45, the woman is a child. She's the same. Then when you leave her to her own devices, that's what she's going to do. I'm free. She's not going to say I'm free and go read a book. She's going to say I'm free and go find a rod to, put her lips on, either the top lips or the bottom lips. Particularly at that age, when they feel like, they don't have any supervision and they could do whatever they want.
There was a lot of things that happened to me from 17 to about 20, 21 years old that my parents should have plucked me out of New York City and brought me home. But
yes, that's your admission that you were not in proper control and that you needed to be supervised. All right. The woman needs to be supervised from about 15 to 40, 45 years old. Absolutely, they do. And that's why there are so many conventions set up in this society to make sure that they can maintain some type of success. Because if the woman is left to her own devices, at least on the level of a man, she's going to fail for the most part. And when she fails, she's going to have a mental breakdown. That's why it is so common for most of these females in this society to be on prescription antidepressants. Because once again, brothers, the female, for the most part, is a two-dimensional entity. She gets all of her being off of outside stimuli. She's not necessarily a spiritual being, per se. They try to be spiritual, but the woman gets her spirituality from the man. The spirituality of the man flows down through her. So when she tries to deal with the spiritual aspect directly, she's always going to flop and she's going to feel very empty inside. That's why it's so common for these women to be depressed. Okay? The vast majority of these women that you come across are depressed. That's why they put so much makeup on their face. They're trying to hide all them damn demons.
Me home, but they made me stay and figure it out.
She figured it out all right, and also had fallen in love with cinematographer Justin Irvin.
Hey, didn't I tell you? I told you the black men know how to handle all that girth. He took one ass cheek and took the other ass cheek and parted like the Red Sea. And planted his staff just like Moses.
She remembers the first time she took him home to Nebraska to meet her family, and she left out one little detail.
My mom tried to not make it a big deal, but Grandma made it a big deal.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the reason why Grandma made it a big deal was because she know that she's too old to get a black man. All right? A lot of the older women, they get mad at their daughters and granddaughters for getting a black man because they're like, damn, I missed out. I wish I could have at least sampled one. Now my coochie's too old and dry to receive that black rod. I'm jealous.
she couldn't even look him in the eye. I mean, it was...
Of course she couldn't look him in the eye. If she looked him in the eye, them two old raisin nipples of hers would start getting hard. She'd try to steal your man.
It was horrifying. And I will never forget that feeling of just sitting there with Justin, thinking, I'm so embarrassed that I had to bring him in to meet these people who raised me and taught me how to live. And
he's being treated that way.
And he's being treated so terribly. And he said to me,
Yeah, you're so embarrassed because of that. No, you just decided that you're going to choose him over your family because your family, even though you love him, they didn't have that Mandingo rod that he had and that he was giving to you. All right. That's why you said, fuck them. We married and that's how we going to stay. Don't worry about them.
To me, racism is never surprising, but it's always disappointing.
The bond only grew closer for the couple. They've been married since 2010.
That's good. That means that they're functional.
When you're married, you have to stay together.
I agree. And the term married, when I use it, is just when you're in a committed relationship with another person, right? When you're with somebody who is wife material and she understands that you're man material. All right. You have to stay together. It's all about how you guys deal with adversity when it comes, because adversity is going to come. And that's why I always try to extol brothers that's why I always try to compel brothers to make sure that you have all your shit together before you get into a serious relationship with a woman. Because you don't want to be in a precarious relationship or a precarious situation with a woman while the relationship is in its initial stages. Okay? You don't want that. You don't want to be the guy who's out of a job and you trying to be in a relationship with a woman, because money is going to be a major issue. God forbid you've been with the woman for 5 or 6 years and now you're out of a job. Money's still going to be a major issue. But at least, hopefully by then, you will have had a chance to establish how this woman deals with adversity. Because that's the most important thing in a long-term relationship. Is she going to bail out? Because a lot of these females, by a certain point, they're looking for a reason to bail out because they're bored. Remember, the woman by nature is a child. She's kin to a child until she gets to be in her late 40s. And look at Gayle King. Remember, this female, Ashley Graham, talked about staying together. When she says something like that, the first thing that Gayle thinks about is her failed marriage. When she walked in on her man plowing some other chick out in her house. She's still been shattered by that and traumatized. In her mind, she's thinking, girl, you know what? Fuck you. If I could, I would end the interview right now. I don't trust no man other than Charlie Rose when he come by my house every other weekend. But fuck you.
And I don't mean that just as like, oh, we're sticking together. No, you have to like have sex. You have to be in the same home. You have to.
Exactly. Hey, look, man. I mentioned this a long time ago. If your girl ain't giving you no asses because somebody else getting it. All right. This is all shit that has to be established over a period of time. This is why you shouldn't be moving in with a woman really until you have the money to maintain your own apartment while also living with her. You also have to make sure that the woman is concerned about your happiness and about your satisfaction. Relationships are not easy, but they're very simple. As long as the person is actually concerned with your happiness and you're concerned with theirs. Life is pretty simple. But you see these women, these men are dogs, these men are cheating on me and all this. Look, you keep getting cheated on, there's something wrong with you. You ain't either your coochie is not up to standard. Who knows? You might have a damn garbage dump coochie. I don't know. Either that or you one of those broads who's working 10 hours a day and going to school 3 hours a day. You know these women, damn 75 years old, still talking about I'm going back to school. Like the scriptures tell you, ever learning but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Bro, 55 years old going back to school, 65 years old going back to school. Nothing wrong with going to school. You go to school to try to make sure that you attain a certain level of expertise in your chosen career. But a lot of these women, they just want to go back to school just to tell people that they're in school. And they're doing all that shit, and they're neglecting their relationship, and they're taking time away from their significant other. And they just expect their significant other to lay up in the bed with a damn rock hard phallus looking like the North Pole, talking about, baby, I'm tired, I don't want to do nothing tonight. Well, he gonna find somebody else to do something with. Simple as that. So, as she stated, you got to give your man sex, and you got to be there in the house. You just can't be all out in the damn street all the damn time. And these bros that want to hang out on Friday and Saturday night, they're nothing but sperm receptacles. As soon as a woman show you that she wants to hang out with her friends every Friday and Saturday night, no problem. All you're good for is to explode some sperm into. You cannot be taken seriously. Period. Have a nice day.
There's so many things. Every couple is different. You have different rules. But I feel like if more people talked about what they were going through in their relationship, it would make it easier on them in the long run.
Well, communication is key, just like she just stated. Communication is key. But due to the fact that the gender war philosophy is promoted in America, and women are made to believe that the man is their oppressor and their attacker, it's very, very difficult for people to have really meaningful communication exchanges without a moderator. This is why they have to have these relationship therapists and things of that nature, who are normally women. You'll find that for the most part, when these women go to therapists or psychiatrists, it's normally a woman, because they know that the woman is going to tell them what they want to hear. Okay? I don't care how many years they went to school for therapy or for psychiatry. If it's a female psychiatrist or therapist, at the end of all her spiel, she's going to tell the woman what she wants to hear for the most part. Now, you really just need to maybe take more time out for yourself. All right? This is what they're going to hear. So this society pretty much is confederate in trying to make sure that the man and the woman stay separated. So as Ashley Graham said so well, communication is a major key. The woman has to be vulnerable to the man. And if she's not willing to do that, then the relationship is not going to work. And if you're a man and you see that your woman is not willing to communicate, no problem. She's just a concubine. That's all. Brothers, I don't try to argue with these women and find out how come you're not. Said, look, you don't want to talk, no problem. You're just a concubine. You go to the back of the line. It's okay.
All the while, Graham's career continued to climb, and it skyrocketed in 2016.
For the first time ever,
That's when she made history, becoming the first so-called curve model to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated's iconic swimsuit edition.
I'm shaking. I'm so honored. I'm sorry. I just took the mic out of here.
Now, this broad looks a lot like a heavy-set Ava Mendez. For those of you brothers who remember, Ava Mendez is a Cuban actress who did 2 films with Denzel Washington. She was in Training Day, and Denzel brought her back for Out of Time. Most likely because he couldn't stay out of that coochie. All right?
Out of your hand. I'm going to take over.
I'm taking over.
Anything can happen. Anything you want can happen. And
I agree with that.
I thought, yes, Sports Illustrated decided to have curvy women not only in their magazine, but on the cover of their magazine. Now that means that size diversity is here and it's real and it's not a trend.
Well, what it also means is that Sports Illustrated is trying to diversify their market. They understand that the woman by nature is a huge consumer. Most women cannot control their buying and spending habits. And if a woman sees, who happens to be heavier, that there is a quote-unquote plus-size woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated, they'll buy it. As we know, the magazine industry is suffering because most people now just go on the internet for their information. They don't buy magazines anymore. So many of these magazines are trying anything to up their sales.
This is the chemise, and it's got all the fishnet on
From
it.
wearing a bikini to showing off.
Now, as you can see, this other female on the left of the screen is also a so-called plus-size model. But as I've stated, when I talk about obesity, I'm not talking about females who are in shape. This woman is clearly in shape. You can see her abdominals. She's just big. Meaning what? She's probably like 5'11". She has a different body type. Every woman's not going to be rail thin. But the issue is their attempt to normalize obesity and a total lack of health, and try to say that it's okay, you can't tell the woman anything because women have been told how their body should look for years. Once again, the reason why you've always had standards of physique is because there is a direct association with health. Health is going to determine your ability to be a functional partner in your relationship, to be a functional parent, and have your energy level up for your children, to perform well at work. That's why, like I stated in the previous video, of course, there is a stigma against heavyset women in positions of authority because you need to have a high energy level and a clear mind to be a leader.
Off her lingerie line. If I'm wearing that, I think there should be a man in there.
Well, shit, you just ain't gonna wear it then, Gail. Because let's be for real. You ain't had no man in your house since Ronald Reagan was president. All right, let's be for real.
I don't want to wear that just walking around the house by myself. To the daily affirmations she tells herself in the mirror.
I said to myself, you are bold, you are brilliant, and you are beautiful. You are worthy of all. I love you.
Well, for you to say that, that most likely means that at one point you struggled with self-image. If you had to constantly tell yourself that every time you looked in the mirror. Brothers, look, once again, a lot of these women are struggling, man. Mentally, they're struggling because they have thrown off the shackles of gender identity and they're trying to create their own identity. And in the process of doing that, they're lost out in the wilderness with no flashlight. They don't know in what direction they're going. So that's why I always implore brothers to take their time when they get to know these broads. Take your time. Because if you jump into these situations too fast, these women can and will try to destroy your life. Okay? They going down in a plane crash and they try and take you down with them.
I repeated it to myself.
Graham's message is simple. Every woman should be happy in the skin she's in, which may be easier said than done.
I got naked in front of the mirror and I started touching my body and saying, lower belly fat, you're kind of cute. Thick thighs, you are so sexy, you just can't stop rubbing each other.
Did you?
I did.
You got to go through all that silly shit. All that shit you got to do. Why is that? Because as I've stated, you have self-image problems. Ain't no man got to look in the mirror and say, man, titties, I love you. Big beer belly, I like the way you're moving. Penis, if I could see you, I'd tell you, you're doing a good job. Like, come on. Ain't nobody doing all that dumb shit.
I'm telling you, if you don't even have to get naked. You can just get down into your, like, grandma panties and, like, bra, and just be like, wait,
Ashley, what makes you think I have grandma panties?
Because your old ass is a grandma. I mean, come on, Gail, let's be for real. If you at the Victoria's Secret, you go into the cobweb collection. Because Lord knows your coochie is shit. You need a flashlight and a damn... a flashlight and a hammer and a sickle to break through that damn thing.
Take that back. I have Spanx.
I take it back.
Take it back. I don't have grandma panties. I have Spanx. Okay.
I have Spanx on too.
Along with plenty of advice, Graham also has a warning to anyone who wants to follow in her footsteps.
The question I get asked all the time from young girls is, how do I become a model? I want to be a model. And I say to them, why would you want to be a model? Why would you want to be picked apart all the time? Why don't you go be the editor? Why not strive to be like the Anna Wintour? Or why not be a designer and tell models what to do all day? I love my dress.
Ashley Graham is all about style and substance. A supermodel turning heads as a role model.
I'm having a moment, but I've been having a moment for, a little while right now. And I'm so thankful for it. It's not only are you seeing women who have my body shape, who are bigger, who are smaller, whatever, you see the industry changing right before your eyes.
Well, the industry is changing because it's being socially engineered. Everything is being pushed to cater to the woman. Why is that? Because this society is starting to circle the drain. Right? When a society starts to circle the drain, it always tries to appeal to the lower levels of society, to the demographics of society that are not really attuned towards how a successful society needs to be run. This is why you see everything now being geared towards what is going to appeal to the homosexual, to the lesbian, to the woman, to the transgender, things of that nature, because this society is starting to circle the drain. As I've stated already and stated, in regards to this issue, you're not going to see men trying to push and promote for, big, fat, bloated male models with man titties and big guts, because men just don't think like that. A man will see a dude on a runway with an 8-pack and he'll look and he'll say, okay, oh, he got a nice jacket on. Like, a man ain't even looking at that dude's body like that. And if he is, he said, you know, I need to get my ass to the gym. He ain't saying, well, you know, they need to have a big fat dude on stage to make me feel more comfortable about myself. Like, come on.
Rise. You can have an it moment, but you have to know how to continue to move this movement into something that's bigger than yourself.
But anyway, that was a very, very good interview with Miss Ashley Graham. I thought it was very insightful on the level of insecurity that most of these women struggle with, even the ones who are quote unquote attractive like her, particularly the ones who have body image issues. All right. So brothers, please always be cognizant of the various mental issues that the female in general has, and especially the ones that you're dealing with, because it's going to affect her conduct towards you at some point in the future. There's no doubt about that. All right. So now this is going to be a little epilogue to part 2 of the Should Fat Women Get More Love series. And of course, they're going to expose that there is a direct correlation between breast cancer and female obesity.
New studies suggest that heavier women may need to have more frequent mammograms. A U.S. government recommendation suggests that women get
And look at this. This once again, they point out the so-called black woman. You can see that hand in her pocket, probably reaching for a damn Snicker bar or some shit. You know, reaching for a Snicker bar and her cell phone. You know, it's interesting. You know, they should tell the people at the mammography department of the hospital that they're dividing women, for them to say that heavier set women have to get more mammograms.
Get mammograms every 2 years.
But a study presented at the Radiological Society of North America found more serious cancers were discovered.
Look at this shit.
Discovered in overweight women.
Look at this broad. Like she can't even get across the damn street. Like she got a couple of them damn pool donuts around her stomach. You know them donuts that those flotation devices in the pool that they use in case you're drowning? Like she got a couple of those around her damn waist.
Women in Sweden who waited that long between screenings.
Oh, damn. Shit. See, this is a shame. And a lot of times obesity is directly correlated to depression. A lot of modern day women, they have a lot of time on their hands because they're not in relationships anymore. So they just sit at home and eat all damn day and watch TV. You know? And this woman, when you look up on the screen, the woman got more chins than a Chinese phone book.
Researchers say a woman's extra fat cells increase estrogen levels that in turn act as a fuel for breast cancer.
Still ahead right here.
Wow, would you imagine that? So being obese has a direct correlation to breast cancer. These are things that people like Ashley Graham and many of these other plus size models should consider, because many of these plus size models, even though they have they keep on a few extra pounds, they work out every day still. They just eat whatever they feel like eating. But they put out these images that it's okay to do whatever you want to do and nobody can judge you. And it's going to result in a lot of these women dying from breast cancer in the relatively near future. Okay? But anyway, peace.